What's up, everybody? Jeffrey Bannock here, and today we're learning the Bible. We're finishing up, or getting close to finishing up Genesis. We go live in the group. Today we're going to be doing Genesis 30 to 35. We got tomorrow we'll be finishing, or Exodus, Genesis. I don't know why I said Exodus or Genesis. There we go. Bam. Wow. Tomorrow we'll finish up Exodus and we're going to start Psalms and Matthew 1. All right. Exciting. That's exciting. Matthew 1. That's awesome. So we're going to be getting into the New Testament there. We'll be starting Psalms. We'll be doing Psalms 1 and 2 tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the last two chapters, or the last four chapters, 36 through 40 of Exodus. We'll finish that up tomorrow. Will be Friday. So Saturday we'll be starting Psalms 1 and 2 and 1 through 4 and Matthew 1 and 2. Very cool. Very cool. That will break it up too. That'll be interesting. It'll give us a lot more to discuss. I'm very interested to talk about the different things in new laws and things like that. So very cool, Matthew. Nice. So it looks like we are good in the group. Everything is good to go. Let's go ahead and check in, make sure everything's good, looks good, and let's get this bad boy rolling. So we are on not Genesis, we're doing Exodus. And that was 30, 35. All right. The altar of incense. So yeah, that's what we were going over yesterday. It was really just all the different rules or laws of how things should be built, sizing, things like that. So yeah. So anyway, the altar of incense. Make an altar of acacia wood for burning incense. It is to be a square. It is to be a square, a cubit long and a cubit wide and 2 cubits high. Its horns of one piece with it. Overlay the top and all the sides of the horns with pure gold and make a gold molding around it. Make 2 gold rings for the altar below the molding, 2 on each of the opposite sides to hold the poles and poles used to carry it. Make the poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold. Put the altar in front of the curtain that shields the ark of the covenant law. The covenant law. Before the atonement cover that is over the tablets of the covenant law, I will meet with you. Before the atonement cover that is over the tablets of the covenant law, where I'll meet with you. Aaron must burn fragrant incense on the altar every morning when he tends the lamps. He must burn incense again when he lights the lamps at twilight, so the incense will burn. At twilight, so the incense will burn regularly before the Lord for generations to come. Do not offer on this altar any other incense or any burnt offerings or grain offerings. Do not pour a drink offering on it. Once a year, Aaron shall make an atonement on its horns. Its annual atonement will be made with the blood of the atoning sin offering for the generations to come. It is the most holy to the Lord. Atonement money. When the Lord said to Moses, when you take a census of the Israelites, to count them, each one must pay the Lord a ransom for his life at the time he was counted. Then no plague will come to them when you number them. Wow, interesting. Each one who crosses over to those already counted is to give a half shekel, according to the sanctuary shekel, which weighs 20 grafts. This half shekel is to be offered to the Lord. All that who cross over, those 20 years old or more, are to give an offering to the Lord. The rich are not to give more than half a shekel, and the poor are not to give less than you make the offering of the Lord to atone for your lives. Receiving the atonement money from the Israelites and use it for the service of the tent of meeting, it will be a memorial for the Israelites before the Lord, making atonement for your lives. Interesting. So even here before, he was sort of demanding atonement for their lives for sinning. So this is almost like this shekel is almost like I don't want to sound sacrilegious, but almost like Christ later on, because like here he's even like, you receive this atonement for your lives, and the sin, the wages of sin are death. So And maybe that's what he's talking about here is immoral is atonement for your lives. But it's interesting, again, he's demanding money. I just don't understand the material desire in this aspect for gold and different things like that. Then the Lord said to Moses, make a bronze basin with its bronze stand for washing. Place it between the tent for meeting and the altar, between the tent of meeting and the altar, and put water in it. Aaron and his sons are to wash their hands and feet with water from it. Whenever they enter the tent of meeting, shall wash with water, so they will not die. Also, when they approach the altar to minister by presenting a food offering to the Lord, they shall wash their hands and feet, so they will not die. This is to be a lasting ordinance for Aaron and his descendants for generations to come. Anointing oil. Then Lord said to Moses, take the following fine spices, 500 shekels of liquid myrrh, half as much, that is 250 shekels of fragrant cinnamon, 250 shekels of fragrant calamus. So is a shekel a weight or is it a coin? I thought shekels were like coins, but maybe it's a weight. 500 shekels of cassia, all according to the sanctuary shekel, and a hin of olive oil. This is to make these into a sacred anointing oil, a fragrant blend, the work of a perfumer. It is to be a sacred anointing oil. Then use it to anoint the tent of meeting, the ark of the covenant law, the tablet and its articles, the lampshade and its accessories, the altar of incense, the altar of burnt offerings and its utensils, and the basin within its stand. You shall consecrate them so they will be most holy, and whatever touches them will be holy. Anoint Aaron and his sons and consecrate them so they may serve me as priests. Say to the Israelites, this is to be my sacred anointing oil for generations to come. Do not pour it on anyone else's body, and do not make any other oil using the same formula. It is sacred, and you are to consider it sacred. Whoever makes perfume like it and puts it on anyone other than a priest must be cut off from the people. Incense. Then the Lord said to Moses, take fragrant spices, gum resin, acacia, and galbanum, and pure frankincense, and all the equal parts, and make a fragrant blend of incense, the work of a perfumer. It is to be salted and pure and sacred. Grind some of it into powder and place it in front of the ark of the covenant law in the tent of meeting, where I'll meet with you. Shall be most holy to you. Do not make any incense with a formula for yourselves, considered to be holy to the Lord. Whoever makes the incense is likely to enjoy its fragrance, but must be cut off from the people. Wow. Already going to town. He's like, dang. Bezel and Olilab. Oh. Then the Lord said to Moses, see, I have chosen Bezalel, son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, with understanding, with knowledge, and with all kinds of skills, to make artistic designs for work for gold, silver, and bronze, to cut and set stones, to work in wood, and engage all types of crafts. Moreover, I have anointed Oliab, son of Elsamech of this tribe of Dan, to help him. I have given ability to all the skilled workers to make everything I have commanded you. The tent of meeting, the ark of the covenant law within the atonement covenant on it, and all the furnishings of the tent. The tablet and its articles, the pure gold lampshade and its accessories, the altar of incense, the altar of burnt offerings and all its utensils, the basin with its stand, and all the woven garments, both the sacred garments for Aaron and the priest, the garments for his sons when they serve as priests, and the anointed oil and fragrant incense for the holy place. They are to make them just as I command you. The Sabbath. Then the Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, you must observe my Sabbath. This will be a sign between me and you for the generations to come, so that you may know that I am the Lord who makes you holy. Observe the Sabbath, because it is holy to you. Anyone who desecrates is to be put to death. Wow. Those who did do any work on that day must be cut off from their people. For 6 days work is to be done, but on the seventh day of Sabbath rest, holy to the Lord, on the seventh day of Sabbath rest, holy to the Lord. Whoever does any work on the Sabbath must be put to death. Work on the Sabbath day is to be put to death. The Israelites are to observe the Sabbath, celebrating it for the generations to come as a lasting covenant. It will be a sign between me and the Israelites forever. For 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. When the Lord finished speaking to Moses on Mount Sinai, he gave him 2 tablets of the covenant law. The tablets of stone were inscribed by the finger of God. Interesting. He said God actually just wrote on them with his finger. The golden calf, 32. So interesting. So, like, the last 2 chapters have really been just God describing to Moses, hey, here is all the requirements, how I want this tent of meeting. I want the Ark of the Covenant to be this way. I want the altar of the burnt offerings. I want the incense. He's like, here's how everything needs to be so that your people can basically worship me. Properly to some degree. So, now we're going to the golden calf. So this is Moses is going to come down off the mountain here. Then people saw Moses was so long coming down from the mountain. They gathered around Aaron and said, "Come, make us gods who will go. Make us God who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him." Aaron answered to him, "Take off the gold earrings that your wives, your sons, and your daughters are wearing, and bring them to me." So all the people took off their earrings and brought them to Aaron. He took what was handed him and made it into an idol cast in the shape of a calf. Aaron did that? Fashioning it with a tool. Then they said, "These are your gods, Israel, who brought you out of Egypt." And then Aaron saw this. He built an altar in front of the calf and announced, "Tomorrow there will be a festival to serve God." Okay, interesting. It's interesting. It said Lord, not God. Sorry. Tomorrow there'll be a festival to the Lord. So the next day, the people rose early and sacrificed burnt offerings and presented fellowship offerings. Afterward, they sat down and ate and drank and got up to indulge in revelry. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go down, because your people who brought you up out of Egypt have become corrupt. They have been quick to turn away from what I commanded them, and they have made themselves an idol cast in the shape of a calf. You have bowed down to it and sacrificed to it, and they have said, 'These are your gods, Israel, who brought you out of Egypt.' I even seen these people, the Lord said to Moses. I have seen these people, the Lord said to Moses, and they are stiff-necked people. Now leave me alone so that my anger may burn inside them, and I may destroy them. Then I'll make you into a great nation." But Moses sought the favor of Lord his God. "Lord," he said, "why should your anger burn inside your people who you brought out of Egypt with great power and a mighty hand? Why should Egyptians say it was with an evil intent that you brought them out, to kill them in the mountain and to wipe them off the face of the earth? Turn from your fierce anger, relent, and do not bring disaster on your people." 13. Remember your servants Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, to whom you swore by your own self, "I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and I will give you descendants all this land I promised them, and it will be their inheritance forever." Then the Lord relented and did not bring on his people the disaster he had threatened. Moses turned and went down the mountain with 2 tablets of the covenant in his hands. They were inscribed on both sides, front and back. Oh, interesting. I always thought they were just on the front. Um, The tablets were the work of God. The writing was the writing of God. So if by writing, could we read that language? Because it's the writing was writing in the writing was in the writing of God. Engraved on the tablets. When Joshua heard the noise of the people shouting, he said to Moses, "There is the sound of war in the camp." Moses replied, "It is not the sound of victory, it is the sound of defeat. It is the sound of singing I hear." When Moses approached the camp and saw the calf and the dancing, his anger burned, and he threw the tablets out of his hands, breaking them into pieces at the foot of the mountain. And he took the calf the people had made and burned it in the fire, and he ground it to powder, scattered it on the water, and made the Israelites drink it. Wow. So that was Aaron that led them down that path to some degree. Interesting. Why, I wonder, of all people to lead him down that way was, you know what I mean? That's just like Aaron's supposed to be his priest. Aaron's supposed to be, and his sons were supposed to be the priest of God. I mean, he even had a whole page talking basically about their robes and such. Um, hmm. I mean, he was the one that made the calf, right? I didn't just misread that. He took the calf and made and burned it. Okay. He said to Aaron, why did these people do to what did these people do to you that led you into such great sin? Do not be angry, my lord, Aaron answered. You know how prone these people are to evil. They said to me, make us a god who will go before us as this fellow Moses who brought us out of Egypt. We don't know what's happened to him. So I told them, whoever has any gold jewelry taken off. Then they gave me the gold, and I threw them in the fire, and out came this calf. Moses saw the people were running wild, and Aaron had let them get out of control, and so became a laughing stock to their enemies. So he stood in the entrance of the camp and said, whoever is for the Lord, come with me, and all the Levites rallied to him. Then he said to them, this is what the Lord God of Israel says. Each man strap a sword to his side, go back and forth through the camp from one end to the other, killing his brother and friend and neighbor. The Levites did as Moses commanded, and about 3,000 of the people died. What the? Whoa. Then Moses said, you have been set apart of the Lord today, for you were against your own sons and brothers, and he has blessed you this day. The next day Moses said to the people, you have committed a great sin, but now you go up to the Lord. Perhaps I can make atonement for your sin. So Moses went back to the Lord and said, oh, what a great sin these people have committed. They have made themselves gods of gold. But now please forgive their sin. But if not, then blot me out of the book you have written. And the Lord replied to Moses, whoever has sinned against me, I will blot out of my book. Now go, lead the people to the place I spoke of, and my angel will go before you. However, when the time comes for me to punish, I will punish them for their sin. And the Lord struck the people with a plague because of what they did with the calf Aaron had made. Interesting. All right, 33, and we're going to 35. So, uh, three more chapters. All right. So then the Lord said to Moses, leave this place, you and the people who brought you out of Egypt, and go to the land I promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, I will give it to your descendants. I will send an angel before you and drive out the Canaanites, Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, Jebusites, and Jebusites. Go up the land flowing with milk and honey, but I will not go with you because you are a stiff-necked people, and I might destroy you on the way. Then the people heard these distressing words, and they began to mourn, and no one put on any ornaments. For the Lord said to Moses, tell the Israelites, you are stiff-necked people. If I were to go with even you for a moment, I might destroy you. Now take off your ornaments, and I will decide what to do with you. So the Israelites stripped off their ornaments at Mount Horeb, the tent of meeting. Now Moses used to take a tent and pitch it outside the camp some distance away, calling it the tent of meeting. Anyone inquiring of the Lord would go to the tent and meet outside the camp. And wherever Moses went out to the tent, all the people rose and stood at the entrance to the tent, watching Moses until he entered the tent. As Moses went into the tent, the pillar of cloud would come down and stay at the entrance, while the Lord spoke with Moses. Whenever the people saw the pillar of cloud standing at the entrance of the tent, they all stood and worshipped, each at the entrance to their tent. The Lord would speak to Moses face to face as one speaks to a friend, and Moses would return to camp, but his young aide Joshua, son of Nun, is that where the term Nun comes from? Son of Nun? Son of Nun, did not leave the tent. Moses and the glory of the Lord. Moses said to the Lord, you have been telling me, lead these people, but they have not let me know whom you will send with me. You have said, I know you by name, and you have found favor with me. If you are pleased with me, teach me your ways, so I may know you more. I may know you and continue to find favor with you. Remember that this nation is your people. And the Lord replied, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. Then Moses said to him, "If your presence does not go with us, do not send people up from here. How will anyone know that you are pleased with me and your people unless you go with us? What else has distinguished me and your people from all other people on the face of the earth?" And the Lord said to Moses, "I will do everything you have asked because I am pleased with you and I know you by name." Then Moses said, Now show me your glory." And the Lord said, "I will cause all my goodness to pass in front of you. I will proclaim my name, the Lord, in your presence, and I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. But he said, "You cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live." Wow. Interesting. Then the Lord said, "This is a place near me where you may stand on a rock. There is a place near me where you may stand on a rock. When my glory passes by, I will put you in a cleft in the rock and cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will remove my hand and you will see my back, but my face must not be seen." Interesting. Hmm. The new stone tablets. Then Lord said to Moses, "Chisel out 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and I will write on them the words that were on the first tablets which you broke. Be ready in the morning, and then come up on Mount Sinai. Present yourself to me at the top of the mountain. No one will come with you or be seen anywhere on the mountain. Not even the flocks and herds may graze in front of the mountain." So Moses chiseled out 2 tablets like the first ones and went up Mount Sinai early in the morning as the Lord had commanded him. And he carried the 2 tablets in his hands. Then the Lord came down in a cloud and stood there with him and proclaimed his name, the Lord. And he passed in front of Moses, proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger and abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, and forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin. Yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished, and he punishes the children and their children for the sin of the parents, the 3rd and 4th generation. Interesting. Moses bowed down to the ground at once in worship. "Lord," he said, "if I have found favor in your eyes, then let the Lord go with us. Although this is a stiff-necked people, forgive our wickedness and our sin, and take us in as your inheritance." Then the Lord said, "I am making a covenant with you. Before all your people I will do wonders never before done in any nation in all the world. The people the people you live among will see how awesome is the work that I, the Lord, will do for you. Obey what I command you today. I will drive out before you the Amorites, Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, Jebusites, and Jebusites." It's just like every time. "Be careful not to make treaty with those who live in the land where you're going, or they will be a snare among you. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and cut down their Asherah poles. Do not worship any other god, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God." That's interesting. Why is God jealous? Interesting. "Be careful not to make a treaty with those who live in the land, for when they prostitute themselves to their gods and sacrifice to them, they will invite you and you will eat their sacrifices. And when you choose some of their daughters and wives for your sons, and those daughters prostitute themselves to their god, they will lead your sons to do the same. Do not make any idols. Celebrate the festival of the unleavened bread. For 7 days eat bread without yeast, as I command you. Do this at the appointed time in the month of Avi, for in the month you came out of Egypt. The first offspring of every womb belongs to me, including all the firstborn males of your livestock, whether from herd or flock. Redeem the firstborn donkey with lamb. If you do not redeem it, break its neck." They said this before. "Redeem all your firstborn son. No one is to appear before me empty-handed. 6 days you shall do labor, but on the 7th day you shall rest. Even during the plow season and harvest you must rest. Celebrate the festival of weeks with the fruit feast of the wheat harvest and the festival of ingathering in the turn of the year. 3 times a year all your men are to appear before the sovereign Lord, the God of Israel. I will drive out nations before you and enlarge your territory, and no one will covet your land when you go up 3 times each year to appear before the Lord your God. Do not offer the blood of sacrifice to me along with anything containing yeast, and do not let any of the sacrifice from the Passover festival remain until morning. Bring the best of the fruit feast of your soils to the house of the Lord your God. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. Then the Lord said to Moses, Write down these words, for in accordance with these words I have made a covenant with you and with you, Israel. Moses was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights without eating or drinking water, and he wrote in the tablets words of the covenant, the 10 Commandments. The radiant face of Moses. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the covenant law in his hands, he was not aware that his face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord. When Moses and all the Israelites saw Moses, his face was radiant, and then they were afraid to come near him. But Moses called to them, so Aaron and all the leaders of the community came back to him, and he spoke to them. Afterwards, all the Israelites came near him, and he gave them all the commandments the Lord had given them on Mount Sinai. When Moses finished speaking to him, he put on a veil over his face. But whenever he entered the Lord's presence to speak with him, he removed the veil until he came out. And then he came out, he told the Israelites what he had been commanded. Then they saw his face was radiant. Then Moses would put the veil over his face until he went back to speak with the Lord. Exodus 35, Sabbath regulations. Moses assembled the whole Israelite community and said to them, These are the things the Lord commanded you to do. For 6 days work is to be done, but on the 7th day shall be your holy day, the day of Sabbath, rest to the Lord. Whoever does work on this day is to be put to death. Do not light any fire in any of your dwelling on the Sabbath day. Materials of the tabernacle. Moses said to the whole Israelite community, This is what the Lord has commanded. From what you have, take an offering for the Lord. Everyone who is willing is to bring to the Lord an offering of gold, silver, and bronze, blue, purple, and sacred yarn, and fine linen, goat hair, ram skins dyed red, and another the type of durable leather, acacia wood, olive oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil, and for fragrant incense, and onyx stones and other gems to be mounted on the ephod and breastpiece. All who are skilled among you are to come and make everything the Lord has commanded. The tabernacle with its tent and its coverings, clasp frames, crossbars, post, and bases. The ark with its poles and the anointed cover and the curtain that shields it. The tablet with its poles and its articles and the bread of the presence. The lampshade for all its light with accessories, lamps and oil for the light, the altar of incense with its poles, and the anointed oil and all the fragrant incense, the curtain for the doorway at the entrance to the tabernacle, and the altar of burnt offerings with bronze grating, its poles and all its utensils, the bronze basin and its staff. Wow, just a list goes on forever. The curtains of the courtyard with its posts and bases, and the curtain for the entrance of the courtyard, the tent pegs for the tabernacle and for the courtyard, and their ropes, the woven garments woven for ministering in the sanctuary, both the sacred garments for Aaron the priest and the garments for his sons when they served as priests. Then the whole Israelite community withdrew from Moses' presence, and everyone who was willing and whose heart moved, they came and brought offerings to the Lord for the work on the tent of meeting, for all its services, and for the sacred garments. Everyone who had... sorry. One second. Right. Everyone who had blue, purple, or scarlet yarn, or fine linen, or goat hair, ram skins dyed red, or the other durable leather brought them. Those presenting them offered of silver or bronze brought it as an offering to the Lord, and everyone who had acacia wood for any part of the work brought it. Every skilled woman spun their hands and brought what they had spun, blue, purple, or scarlet yarn, or fine linen, and all the women who were willing and had the skill spun the goat hair. Leaders brought onyx stones and other gems to be mounted on the ephod and breastplate. And they also brought spices and olive oil for the light, and for the anointing oil, and for the fragrant incense. All Israelite men who and men and women who are willing brought to the Lord free will offerings for all the work the Lord through Moses had commanded them to do. Then Moses said to the Israelites, "See, the Lord has chosen Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, and he has filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom and with understanding, with knowledge and with all kinds of skill, to make artistic designs for work in gold, silver, and bronze, to cut and set stones, to work in wood, and engage in all kinds of artistic crafts. And he has given both him and Oliab, son of Ishmael, I'm totally messing this up, tribe of Dan, the ability to teach others. He has filled them with the skill to do all kinds of work as engravers, designers, embroiderers in blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and fine linen, and weavers, all of them skilled workers and designers. All right, very cool. So that is the reading for today. We will finish up Exodus tomorrow. Pretty cool. All we sort of went over the last 2 days has been what the tabernacle and the covenant and everything's supposed to be, how it's supposed to be made. They're now getting to the point where they're starting to make everything. So thanks everybody for joining me